calling.
What's up, GCC family? Hey, groupies. We're back with yet another episode. Thank you for tuning in. We're doing something super cool. We are on Instagram Live now, and you probably just listened to an episode not too long ago of us on TikTok Live. Now we're on Instagram Live. We're having the same conversation, just going about it a little differently. So, of course, as always, we've got all the girls. We've got Miss Winter, we've got Amani, and we've got Deke in the building, of course. Okay, so we're going to kick this conversation off. I guess for those of you who didn't catch the other episode, let's just kick it off like normal. How are you guys feeling after our TikTok live?
I feel good, honestly. I feel like we had a lot of interactions. We definitely need, our Instagram viewers to definitely give us, some feedback for sure. But regarding TikTok, it was definitely a good first experience and something that I will be willing for us to do it again.
Yes, I agree. Those that popped out. They showed out. We definitely had some good conversations, some laughs, and really talked about some things that, people have different perspectives on, which was really cool. So I'm happy with the first one. We did not even advertise it that much. So the next one will definitely be even better. But yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, yes. So I was also very pleased, very satisfied with our first TikTok live. But let's just get into the combo. Okay, so question number one that we've got in the chat on our Instagram live is, how can couples communicate their standards without making their partner feel controlled? What's your thoughts, ladies?
Someone asked, as far as standards, you mean boundaries? Would you guys agree that that's what that means, or is standards and boundaries two separate things?
I think they're two different sides of the same coin. I think standards are what you want to see and what you're willing to accept. Boundaries is the opposite of that, what you're not willing to accept, the lines that you're not willing to cross, right? A standard is just a guideline for the most part, because people can surpass standards, which is why I say it's a guideline. It's not necessarily you got to be here, you can't go above, you can't go below whatsoever. But a boundary is like, that's my no-go zone. We're not doing that. So two sides of the same coin.
I can agree with that 100%.
But in regards to that specific question, I think it all comes to understanding your partner's communication style, because there's certain things that you can say. There's certain things that you can say in different ways for it to be received in the manner that you want it to be received, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think there's a clear difference between me saying, it's kind of like how we talked about earlier, like, hey, I kind of, I feel uncomfortable, or I fill in the blank when you do X, Y, and Z, or when you go to these type of environments, or when you do this. I think being able to express that to your partner rather than just saying like, you're not going there. Two completely different things. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely how you approach the situation, because if you approach it wrong right off the bat, then the conversation is definitely going to go left. It's not going to turn out the way you thought it was, because now it's giving controlling instead of communicating your feelings and what you feel that you just don't want, or you just don't want it to happen again in the future. So it's really just how you go about things and how you put your words into a sentence that makes your partner feel comfortable enough to want to communicate and want to not compromise. I was about to say the wrong word. What's the word? Where you guys basically just meet together on a line.
Compromise. You said the right word. Compromise.
Okay. See, that's not overthinking. Yeah, so it's really just how you communicate with your partner, to be honest, in my point of view.
I feel like it's important to know that certain standards, like how someone carries themselves, that you see within your partner, and plays a part. Someone said approach will always be a key, and everyone is different, and I fully agree. But I feel like standards are something that you kind of look for within a partner. So most of the time, your standards, I feel, are met beforehand, if that makes sense.
No, I think I get what you're saying. Your standards are your qualifiers. Like, this qualifies you, in a sense. It's going to sound crazy the way I'm saying it, but this qualifies you to be in a relationship with me,
Yes,
right?
100%.
And a boundary is not that. So it makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I was just checking the comments. Okay, yeah. So we can move on to the next question, which is what are some examples of reasonable standards in relationships? So, what is just outlandish, or what is something that is like, okay, that's feasible, that's a reasonable ask of your partner, or a reasonable standard to have for a partner. So how about I say this too?
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about men giving or saying that they have a standard of what they want their partner to wear?
I really feel like some men just take it too far.
Yeah, I
Personally,
agree.
I feel like more often than not, when a woman has a standard or a suggestion for what their man should be wearing, it's just that, it's a suggestion. I
Mhm.
feel like when men say it, it's more like he a daddy. Like, you
Mhm.
not going out the house in that.
Yeah.
Who are you?
No, respectfully.
I also feel as though it's important that, sorry, this comment just really irritated me.
What am I missing?
Well, I can't see it either.
I can't see
Like,
the
come
comments.
on.
Me either.
That's where boundaries and standards meet with dressing too you're talking about with dressing too revealing specifically.
I'm just saying in general, what you wear in general. It
That's what
doesn't
the
have to be.
comment says. Sorry. I know you guys
Oh,
can't see it. So the
sorry.
comments, so a couple comments said um things that regarding the question, what are some examples of reasonable standards in a relationship? Someone said not over drinking, dressing too revealing, personal hygiene. And then they said boundaries and standards meet when it comes to something like dress, how people dress. I feel like yes, in a way. Again, standard. I feel like the way you get a like your partner. So if you're seeking out an individual and they dress already
Mm-hmm.
revealing, it's something that you should talk about before you actually make it into an official relationship if it's something that bothers you. But at the same time, if that's something that they were doing previously and that's just their style and that's just like how they dress and how they're confident within themselves, I feel like kind of plays a factor here. Like that's something that you should talk about before you make steps. It's different if like they never dress revealing and then you get with them and then now they're starting to dress revealing because no, well, that seems like we're playing on respect a little bit because where did that come from?
Yeah.
Compared to that's what they were doing previous to you. And now that you're here and we're combining lives, and in the beginning, maybe you don't say anything, but down the line, you realize it's bothering you. That's definitely something that you have to communicate without just saying like, you can't dress like that.
Mm-hmm.
She was dressing like that single. Okay, that's why I said if the person was single beforehand dressing like that and you pulled them off IG, like you saw them on Instagram, saw what they were posting. Once you pulled up on them and you knew that you wanted to move further and become in a relationship with them, that's where you communicate before you get into the relationship. Hey, I'm not vibing with that type of vibe. Like, I don't think you should be posting like that anymore. Make sure it's a clear conversation. Don't just assume someone is just going to stop dressing that way if that's not something that y'all talked about, as if that would be a boundary that would be crossed. You have to clarify, this is a boundary for me. I know this is how you were dressing before me, but now that we're together, now that you're my lady, let's keep it a little more cute, a little more, classic, and then we can move on. But if you don't communicate, I feel like you can't expect someone to just stop doing what they're used to doing, in my opinion.
I just don't think. No, go ahead.
Especially when there's not like a title on it. We're not doing this little fake boyfriend, none of that. Like, you're not gonna tell me what to do, what to wear, and you wouldn't even ask me to be your girlfriend. Like, we're not doing that. Sorry.
Yeah, so someone said, I mean, if you take the time to approach someone who is too revealing, no reason to want it feeling a type of way after. I can understand, of course, you can't expect them to just change. But if you communicate, hey, you're my girl now, I don't want my girl just having their titties out all the time no more, then that's something that you talk to. Like, that's something you bring up.
Right.
You can't just like not talk about it. Someone said,
Yeah,
in my opinion, if a girl wants to wear what she wants, that's fine. As long as she is as long as she is with me when wearing. But if she's going out with her girls, dressing like she's single, that's a problem in my opinion.
Okay, I understand that point of view.
I can understand that point of view. I can understand that. So like, anytime she pop out with you, you're gonna let her rock how she want to rock, as long as she feels grown and sexy. But when it comes to her going out with just a girl, like just on a girl's night, she should be dressed a little more
modest.
Like that's what I was gonna say.
I'm not wearing no long skirt with
yeah,
girls.
like there's definitely
okay. I think Amani now.
But
I think
I can understand the perspective for sure.
I'm just trolling.
Talking about a long skirt.
No, but honestly, once I know that it's official with a guy, I'm definitely gonna respect the way he feels. If he feel that he don't want me dressed in a certain way, then I'm not gonna do it. Point blank, period. But if it's somebody that we're not like, it's not official, then maybe we'll talk about that when we get there. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my point of view. They might see it as, oh well, maybe she just playing and she not gonna really do it once. No, like for me, it's like once I know that it's official with me and you, then everything that we talked about and communicate will be understood and moved accordingly.
The next part of that question was, when does those standards cross a line into control? I feel like in this type of situation, showing that you're controlling is if you're specifically like, you're not wearing that outside. Like, you can't go outside if you have that on. I feel like that is control. I feel like in this case, it depends on what is being said. But telling your partner, I'm comfortable with this, isn't controlling them, as long as it's spoken about in advance. But saying like, oh, if you're going to wear revealing outfits, you're not going anywhere, that's kind of controlling what someone can and can't do. And I feel like that's where like a boundary, in my opinion, would be crossed.
Yeah. Someone said, me personally, I'm not dealing with a woman who I even got to teach that. You don't got to teach nobody nothing. Just like how it's vice versa. We don't want to teach men how we want to be treated. Or, I mean, not really teach them, but let them know. I mean, we could let them know probably like when we first start talking, the first stages, we let them know what our love language is. Yeah, okay, that's different. But when it comes down to teaching them stuff that's common sense that they should know as a man, or that they should know as a woman, then that's different.
Very true, very true.
Someone said, I wear what I want and my fiance doesn't mind because he is secure about our relationship. And then another person said, go where you want, but don't speak to me when you get home.
I know you lying.
No.
No.
I feel like you're pushing it. Like,
you are.
Again, if conversations were had in advance, then there shouldn't be none of that. But you can't just, again, assume someone's going to change their style just because they got with you without communicating like an adult.
I don't think that should be an expectation, period.
Yeah, like they're a grown person.
Like, you knew what it was when you signed up. That's really the moral of the story.
Exactly. I don't think they understand that. Like, I feel like they always want to change and control, but never want to just express their feelings in a certain way that will be understood to their partner. Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it can go both ways, but sometimes people just don't know how to communicate their feelings, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Definitely
one
heavy
of
on
this
Yeah.
a recent comment says, "Nah, it's not controlling if you tell them you're uncomfortable. But yes, if I tell you I'm uncomfortable with that and you still choose to do it, that means you don't care about how I feel, which hurts more." Which is
Yes.
valid. And if
Yes,
in
I
that
do get that
case,
perspective.
of course, and in that case, if they don't care about how you feel, then that's, a deeper conversation that you need to have regarding what relationship you have together. But communicating that you're uncomfortable with it is not a bad thing at all, as long as it's communicated in advance. You can't, again, the key word here is you can't have an expectation that a grown adult is going to do anything that you didn't discuss beforehand. That would be a boundary. It says, okay, so what is too much as a man? Like, what clothing wouldn't y'all want your man wearing? LOL. I'm curious.
Anything outlining the silhouette, we're not doing that.
Right.
I
Come
hate
on
to
now.
see it. Please, let's have some decorum.
Because it's like,
And it's not necessarily things that are inappropriate. I think for women, it's much more your representation of me. So when you step out the house, like, you need to represent me. So if you're
Mhm.
going out looking crazy, I think that's more so the perspective that women have as opposed to men who are actually
concerned
the
about other
conversation is
men.
other men.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down
Just like
to.
going back to what we're talking about with the hat. Like, why are you wearing it? Babe, I really don't think you should
I
wear the
really
hat.
don't think you should wear that
I
hat.
really don't. I
Pookie.
don't want to
I
tell you
don't.
not to wear it because now that's giving controlling, but I do want to
No,
let you
I'm
know that I
telling you,
personally
don't wear
don't think you
that.
need it. You don't need it. But
I'm
when we go
I'm
out,
begging you, babe.
people
Please
asking why
don't
you
wear
got
that
that hat on. Don't look at me. Don't
Right.
look at me.
Right. Because I
I'm
told
fine.
him.
I told him not to wear it. It's that simple. Hit him with the I told him. But
That's
you know what?
it.
He made a choice.
That's it.
Someone
See, at that
said,
point,
you right. That goes for both sides. Relationships mean we both have to be on the same page. Same page is key to healthy relationships.
But-
Yeah, I
Yes.
completely agree.
So that's
get-
where,
okay.
oh, sorry. I was just going to say, like, when it comes to the clothing and being controlling about that, I think that's where I'm like, where I have a more like, sorry, I'm trying to gather my words properly. Where my opinion, like, because it's a hard double standard to have when it comes to what someone's wearing, whether they're female or male, I feel like this is where controlling what someone wears is like, could be a bigger deal. Because it's harder for a woman to control what a male is wearing. Like, most of the time, they wear baggy attire anyway. You know what I mean? So it's not really like they have chest, they have a butt that they're like hourglassing, having out. Like, there's not too much a man is really doing. So when it comes to controlling your partner's wardrobe from male to a female, I feel like that's where you're playing a tricky game, and that's where communication should be had in advance between two adults. But automatically, when it comes to clothing, you try to tell your partner what they can and can't wear when it comes to a male towards a female, and or another, just a female in general, at least a feminine type of female. It's really,
It's giving insecure and controlling. It's giving insecure and controlling. That's it.
I think that especially specifically, about this topic in reference to, let's say, clothing, since that's what we're on, I think that is very hard for either party to even come forth with a conversation about, well, this is my standard. Because if we use the example, like you said, you have a girl who posts on Instagram and she already posts in lingerie. You see what outfit she wears out, whatever the case may be. If that was your standard, then you wouldn't have approached her to be in a relationship. Exactly. So you already accepted that when you came to her talking about some, whatever you said in the DMs, that was probably corny anyway. But that's besides the point. But you've already lowered them when you slid in her DMs or when you pulled up on her, whatever the case may be. So now for you to then try to backtrack and say, well, technically what you were doing before doesn't meet my standard. Now, yeah, she is going to look at you crazy, or he is going to look at you crazy because you saw what I was doing when you came up to me. Like, I was me when you pulled up. So yeah, it does kind of look like, well, now you are trying to change me because you saw what it was. So it's kind of like you don't have an argument at that point. But that kind of brings me into the next question of, do you think that societal norms impact how just people as a whole view control versus standards
Yes.
in a relationship?
Yes, that's exactly the point that I was going to make. I feel like, unfortunately, from the perspective of the man in the relationship asking or requesting that their women dress more modestly, it's because societally it's not deemed appropriate. It's not acceptable. It's not what's glamorized. It's not what, unfortunately, women are put to very different standards than men are in
Mm-hmm.
regards to high quality woman versus a high quality man
Very.
in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for all the other ones, but the one that I live in, the standards are set very disproportionately.
Don't even
And
get me started.
so a lot of the times the conversation surrounding what a woman has on is really a conversation qualifying what quality of woman she is,
Mm-hmm.
not how she looks in the clothes, but what representation is she doing of or putting out of womanhood as a whole. When men go out, they're not representing all of mankind.
Mm-mm.
They're quite literally just representing themselves.
Yeah.
And that's societally.
I can't
Honestly, I
see them.
completely agree with what Winter said, because honestly, it's like no matter what we wear or what we want to wear, people would just look at us differently compared to men. They just be wearing high socks,
Wait.
shorts that go above the kneecap.
High socks
so-
is
Wait.
crazy. Shorts that go above the kneecaps is even crazier.
Actually, I need for the shorts to go above the kneecaps. Why are they below the kneecap?
No,
It's
like I mean,
2025.
okay, so not more so like right above the knee. I'm talking about like shorter, like those short, like
Oh, like
when I
what's
see
it
those
called?
like
The booty daddy shorts. Hoochie daddy. There we
there
go.
should be
Booty
no
daddy.
Booty
reason you
daddy is
wearing that.
crazy.
Like, come on, Papa, come on.
Now she gonna be
Like,
Puerto Rican
it's-
today. I can't.
Not too much now.
That
But
is
no, I
funny.
feel like it's always more so than what the women are wearing than what the men are wearing. And honestly, that's just
Now, don't get me wrong. Men don't have it easy necessarily. Like when it comes to different sectors, like we're not just talking about
Right.
you walking in the world as a man in general, or in relationships, or in romantic diasporas, right? In the professional sector, men have it a little difficult, especially Black men specifically. I can't speak for all races of men, but Black men have to come with it.
They do.
Especially
They
if we're
do.
talking corporate. So I won't say that they have it completely easy. Not for nothing. They probably have it the hardest in that sector of the world. But for this particular conversation and the lens of relationships and romance, it's just not a fair game.
So, well, that just made me think about, okay, so we've obviously talked about something that men kind of get the most, bad rep for in terms of the things that they're controlling over. So that just made me think about, since we're talking about social media also, is it controlling for a woman to tell their man that they cannot be on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or nothing, like in women's pictures and X, Y, and Z?
Yes, I think to outright say no, but I think it's a whole nother conversation if you're saying that this makes me feel some type of way, or I just blanket statement, I just prefer for my men to not engage in that at all because of everything that goes on in that sphere. I think that's different. But if you're outright saying delete all that, yeah, you had it before you got with me, but delete all that. My men not having that. My man not having that. That's different. That's controlling. 100%.
Yeah.
And all power to you, Pookie.
I can't, like, I feel like a big turnoff for me, like, is seeing my man or, the person I'm with in likes of other women that post pictures specifically. I'm not talking about like they're on a beach in a bathing suit. Like that's that's what it is. Like, you're at a beach, you should be in a bathing suit. But like, if they're out just, you know,
The
and
thirst
they're
traps. The thirst
overly
traps.
exposed and you're in their lights,
Yes.
like that kind of just like ew for me.
Yeah.
So if that, I guess for like, if we want to counteract the situation, I feel like that would be a similar vibe to the clothing for a woman, because I don't want my man to be in people's likes. And that's
Yeah.
probably the best way I can connect it, because I what he's wearing has nothing to really, you know, I can't really say much. His outfits are fine, but don't be in people's likes that are posting with intention to get attention from males, especially if you're mine, you know, like that's not it for me.
A girl can never wear what she wants for herself. If she puts something on in the society we live in, it's for others, relationship or not. And then someone else said, I feel like they have to take a hard look in the mirror, because if you wouldn't want us as your spouse to do it, then why would you think it's okay for you to do it? Good point there, girl. Good point.
Clock it.
And then someone else said, but don't be liking dude pics with their shirt off.
I mean, that's still that's the same.
That's valid, I guess.
Yeah, that is
right.
That you have a valid point there.
You have a valid point
there. Like, you do.
The point is definitely valid.
Very valid.
That's the male equivalent of a thirst trap.
Yeah. If you're not comfortable with it, then I mean, I feel like honestly that's common sense for me. I wouldn't even be doing that if I'm in a relationship, but
so then
to each their own.
Let's say, right, let's just play on this, since this is where we're going down, let's play on this scenario. So we have the situation of, you know, men coming off as controlling when it comes to trying to dictate what their partner wears, and then women coming off as controlling in terms of dictating what their partner does on social media, right? Do you think that then leaves room for women to be more likely to be labeled as controlling and men more likely to be labeled as being protective because, you know, they don't want their woman, like Deke talked about earlier, going out with their girls, and you maybe dress a little bit more revealing, and that's associated with, you know, maybe unwanted attention from men, yada yada. The, you know, the societal norm of like what the consequence is, again, air quotes I'm doing for the people that can't see, of being dressed more revealing versus those of being in parts of Instagram that you shouldn't be a part of. Like, is the woman in that sense actually controlling and the man is just being protective? Do you think that's a notion out there?
I feel like possibly, because in my head, when I think of a man being protective, or like if I hear, like I'm imagining, you know, a female friend talking to me about their relationship, and they're like, oh, you know, I just can't wear that because my man's overprotective. I feel like that's something that would be said compared to my girls. And I feel like a guy would more give off, my girl's you know, controlling, like she's trying to, like, I also think it depends on how the person sees it. You know, like if it's like a dread, like, my partner's controlling, like I can't come out tonight. Or it's like, you know what, my man's overprotective, like he loves me too much, like that's why. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it truly just depends. Or it can depend.
Yeah, I mean, everything is situational.
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Who said that?
People are getting real in tune with us right now, and I'm loving it.
Are they? I'm so mad I can't see the comments. Getting angry.
So someone said, sometimes it's not about what you're wearing, it's about her safety, because when I'm not there, anything can happen, and I want my girl to come home that night.
I get that, because I'm like that with my man.
Sense.
And it has nothing to do with what he's doing. It's just the time.
Yeah. Right.
The genre of man that I'm with.
Right.
Like,
right.
What's going on?
Exactly.
Are you okay?
And
Is everyone
if
okay?
that's the case, then express that. and express it in the right way. Don't express it the wrong way and it come off wrong, and
Mhm.
it goes a whole another way that you weren't anticipating for it to go. Someone else said they can't be protective and liking the next female pics dressed the way he
Okay, come on
his
Oh,
here.
daughter.
yeah.
That
That's a
part.
point.
Clock
clocked
that.
that
point.
Clock
She clocked that.
that.
Mhm.
That's what the young kids do, right? Clock that tea.
Let's not be hypocritical now.
Exactly.
Again, so and back to the point that I stated earlier, you cannot come to me and have a conversation of this is my standard of woman, that caliber of woman that I want to be with, because clearly not, because you're over here like in Susie's half naked photo. So
Right,
clearly it's
exactly.
not about
Once we are
Exactly.
in a relationship, you should not be talking to me about your standards because, and this is just the way I think about it. If we are like, you are my man exclusively. Everybody and
Yeah.
their mother knows it. It's not a secret. We might be private, but it ain't no secret.
Right.
Betty Sue down the block now, right? There should be no conversation in which you're bringing up, well, this is my standard once we've been in a relationship for however long, right? Because I should have already met those standards. Once again, a standard should be your qualifier to be with me. As crazy as it sounds, that's what a standard is. So if I'm not meeting your standards, you should never got with me in the first place, because you had every intention of changing me from the moment that you decided to be with me if I never met your standards to begin with. Okay? Now, if it's a boundary that I'm crossing, that is a different story. Boundaries you learn as you learn your person.
Right.
Because unfortunately, it doesn't matter how many years y'all been friends before you get in a relationship. You see a different side of somebody when you become romantic. And that's not necessarily a negative thing. But boundaries we learn along the way. So if your boundary is that when I go out with my friends, you don't want me acting single. And if acting single is the clothes that I wear, the way that I talk, the way that I walk, the way that I interact with opposite sex, okay, let's
Are we
talk
together?
about it. But if you come to me talking about something, well, this is my standard, Buki, I was outside when we met. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so now your
Right.
standard is a girl who doesn't go outside. Like, that just doesn't make sense.
So it's not me.
Right.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
that's the case,
That's
now you're wasting
controlling.
my time though. Cause I hate that. Like, if first of all, I don't even know why we're even having a conversation. If you off of social media, I mean not off of social media, but just off of one pointer of what I post, what I wear, if you're even following me on Instagram, my stories, how my stories are when I'm out, when I'm doing this, and that, you should already know off the bat, dang, is this the girl that I want to talk to? Is this not? Because if I'm not, and then you're still trying to entertain me, and now it's going to a field where I'm starting to take you serious. Now it's like you're controlling me, because now you're trying to switch how I am as a person, and you already saw that before you even started conversating with me, before you even DM'd me, before you even started wasting my time.
Hot take. I really feel like social media has truly ruined romance, because it's like getting the cheat sheet to a test before you actually even enter it into the class, if that makes sense. So like, I know everything that I need to do to get your attention, or I know who you are, so I know everything that I have to say, the type of person that you are, like the vibe that I need to come in with to get you before I actually really learn you.
Yeah.
Because we only show a portion of ourselves on social media, but the part that we show is the part that we want to be seen. Therefore, if somebody else is noticing it, that's it. Like, there is no intimacy in linking up off of social media. And I think that's why a lot of relationships kind of struggle when they do meet
Come from
on
that.
Yeah, because now I really got to know you as a person, like your flesh. Like, you're not just a screen.
Then it's that whole, oh, you're not who I thought you were. Baby, you didn't know
You
him.
didn't know me
That's
to
the
begin
part.
with. Like, that's the problem.
So true. That's good. That was real good.
So what the statement was: women who assert themselves in relationships or situations may be described as controlling because of the stereotype that women should be more passive or nurturing.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Agreed.
Whoever said that, absolutely. Ate that one down. Okay.
No, it's
Ate
so
that
true.
one down. That's very true.
They don't know how to take a strong woman in a lot of environments, not even just in a romantic relationship. I think in a lot of environments, if you are an assertive woman, you are definitely labeled as either the B word, controlling, And yeah, you just don't get the same respect for having boundaries or having standards as men do. Men can
That
put their foot down and it's
yeah.
respected. You put your foot down and now all of a sudden, oh, she's trying to run the show.
Oh,
No, this
come
is just
on.
what I said and I
That's
meant what I said and that's
that's literally what I've been holding my tongue on this whole conversation. I feel like a lot of times the perception of control genuinely is coming from a lack of respect. This
Yes.
individual does not respect you, so you're having to continually repeat yourself and say things or explain to them things that bother you. Now you're controlling because you want for them to change, but it actually is affecting you. If
Yeah.
you're in a relationship with somebody, you should be able to vocalize something that is a problem, not something that you're just, not just jealousy, but like
Right.
a problem, and then be able to accommodate that because they respect you, because they care for you. Now, if it's
Right.
just they are completely have no regard for you or your emotions,
All right.
it's straight
Then it's
disrespect.
quit.
Then it
Yeah.
leads for people to be deemed as controlling because how many
Yeah.
times do I have to say the same thing? Stop.
Right.
And at that point, just cut it off.
At that
But
point, it's time to dead it. That's really just what I feel. At that point, if it's getting to a place, like at a point, it just comes to a point, like the people say on social media right now. Like it just comes to a point
it just comes to
where
a point.
it's time to cut the ties because now you're stepping out of your character. Now you're
Mhm.
becoming somebody that at that point you probably don't even recognize because you're putting all of these stipulations on somebody who clearly have no desire to, I don't want to say abide by them, but essentially at that point, that's what it's kind of falling
To
into.
respect you. They refuse to
Yeah.
respect you.
So
Someone else said, I think some men use the word protective as so they don't sound controlling, but it also how they present it to you. For instance, if he says he's not comfortable with you, that I think it's how you I think it's how you present it.
I'm
can't even see the
following. I'm
comment.
following.
It's
But
how you present it to your spouse. Like saying I'm not comfortable with you wearing that versus saying no, you're not wearing that. Yeah, that's exactly
yeah.
what we meant. Someone else said, from my experience, setting boundaries has been misconstrued with being strict as a man.
I think a lot of times men have an unfair starting point if they are sane, healthy men, right? Mentally healthy, emotionally healthy men. A lot of the times, women, especially when they start dating too young, they end up with boys or men who are not mature. And so there's a lot of runoff from those early interactions that come into play in later and more mature relationships. But just societally, I think there's so much negativity about what women have gone through that even women who haven't gone through that are expecting to find that. So when they see something that is even remotely reminiscent of that, they're triggered. I think women as a whole are easily triggered because we have such high expectations put on us on a day-to-day basis that we don't have much capacity to accept it, especially in our romantic relationships. Like that is supposed to be our safe space. So I think in moments like that, it's a matter of, okay, is she the problem? Like, is she just hard-headed? Like, no matter how you say it, is it not getting through? Or is there a different way that you could be saying it? So,
Yeah, I agree. Those are definitely the two options on how it's being going in one ear and coming out the other the wrong way, for sure.
and someone would be hard-headed, you know?
I agree. I admit it. I take accountability.
I admit it.
Don't shoot me.
I'm the problem.
Right.
Sometimes, to a certain extent. All right.
Yeah.
Not
too
too far, not too far.
That's a mess.
Okay, so how do you then determine, and even for those women that we're talking about, even maybe let's say for the hard-headed ones, how do you determine when it's time to stand firm on your standards, versus when it's appropriate to compromise?
I think it's appropriate to compromise when it's not a standard that you set for yourself. I think if you're compromising on your standards, then that can be problematic because you know who you are and you know who you need to compliment you. You might not know exactly who that person is, right? But you know at least the qualities that you need in a romantic partner. So if you're compromising on a standard, that person just may not be it for you. And if so, then you really need to look at, I think this is another really big conversation. If your standard is your standard because it's your standard, or because societally that's what you feel like you should set as a standard, or because your mama told you that should be a standard, or because your daddy told you that should be a standard. Like, is it yours, or is
Right.
it coming from somewhere else? Because if you're willing to compromise on it, maybe it's just not a standard for you. Because there's things for me that, say, for example, in my relationship, if he isn't at that standard, I'm going to keep talking about it. So he's either going to feel like he's not enough, or he can't meet me at that point, or we're just not supposed to be, right? Because if it's a standard, it's just like, that's just is what it is. Like, you can't apply to a job that's requiring a doctorate with an associate's degree. Like, it's just, they're going to want you to get it. They're going to want you to get that doctorate within a set amount of time. Same thing goes for a standard.
That's
Compared
a
or get
perfect
compared.
scenario.
So,
Perfect. To the T.
It's bigger for me.
To the T.
Perfect to the T.
But no, I definitely agree. Honestly, before, I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely had past experiences where I felt like I liked someone so much to the point where I was willing to accept stuff that I wasn't really wanting to accept. And honestly, it makes me so mad even saying that I was even allowing that in the first place. And it's just really just
Don't be
funny
mad. Don't be
and
mad.
a little laugh to because, girl, what was you doing? Like, yeah, and everybody goes through that. So, but it comes to a point where you went through it already. Girl, don't do it again.
you
Don't
gotta
do it again.
learn.
You already know it didn't work the first time, which makes you think it's gonna work the second time. It's not.
Insanity.
Exactly. By definition.
Delusional.
Literally.
That
All
too.
of the above. Option D.
Right.
No, for sure. Any responses to that?
Okay. I know. I'm waiting for. I just did, bro. Yeah, I think your phone is going just a little bit slow. It's okay though. So someone else said, for me, I am not dating your mama or your daddy. So don't tell me what they think. Tell me how you feel.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't
It's
know,
very
though. That's the
valid.
problem.
I was going to say, and I don't think it's wrong. Let me say this. I don't think it's wrong for your partner to express to you maybe what they experience, what they've seen their parents, go through, or whatever the case may be, because it does give you insight into how they handle situations, or maybe where certain triggers come from, or why they're very intolerant of certain things. So I think those are important conversations, but what I can't do is just, that's the only reasoning you have to give me for everything that we experience.
Right.
Like, I need you to start taking the tools out of the toolbox, using them, and then build your own masterpiece, because we can't just keep, picking them up, putting back down, picking them up, putting back down. It's not working. It's not working. That would not work for me.
Someone else said, don't expect nothing from a guy or a girl. There is someone that can do way better out there. Don't search for it, and real love will come.
Oh,
I felt like I just heard the ending of the book. Such a happy ending.
Don't search for it. Real love will come.
Right. I think I was gonna say that earlier too. Like, I feel like a lot of people are, trying, and that's when it comes into trying to settle for someone that you wasn't really expecting to be with, or to compromise on your standards. Like, if you're doing that, then now I feel like you're just trying to find someone to be there with you, and that comes back on being alone. Like, you don't need it. Like, it will come to you. If it's that time, it's that time, and it will come. But don't rush the process, girl, because
oftentimes I think we've all had a friend who we're just listening to their feedback on their relationship, their complaints, their commentary, etc., etc., and you realize before they realize that they're only with that person because they don't want to be alone, because they don't really like nothing about them for real. Like everything that
Yeah.
he does pisses you off. Everything that she does pisses you off. So
Right.
how'd
No,
you
it's
meet
so
her
true.
again? Like, why y'all
Right.
together?
So what are we doing for real?
Right.
What was that?
He agrees. See?
It's
Telling
his
you.
dad. It's his
Did you
dad.
just try to look up like at her
He
like
growling.
No. She's looking
I'm
at
gonna say it looked like
He's
Deja
looking
went
at
like
his
this.
daddy.
Like she was trying to look up at
me.
Oh,
Tanaijah's camera up top.
I'm crying. Hey, girl.
That is funny.
He met with his father. But anyways, okay, so how then can we as individuals in relationships, you too, Amani, even though I know you're in a relationship right now, but how do we, or maybe can we share some ways that we have created space for open conversations about your boundaries, expectations in your relationship without there being the fear of, judgment or retaliation in those moments?
I feel like removing the thought that I need to have this conversation at the right time is very helpful. Because I know, like, for example, for me, I, get to thinking and then I'll have something that I want to say, but then I'm like, you know what? Let me try to like wait for the right time to talk about this. But honestly, you just have to kind of talk about it. There's no right time to discuss it. Obviously, I'm not saying to discuss it right in the middle of an argument, like, oh, you're arguing and then this is something you've had on your mind, so now you're going to bring it up. Like, no, don't do that. But all energy is clear. Just talk about it when you need to talk about it. Don't just wait or try to figure out when you should bring something up that's bothering you, because you never getting it out will just cause you to build tension. And now there's frustration involved and other factors that don't really need to, be when it could have just been a conversation, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
think something I've seen a lot is, I'll say this, I think what can create a space for there to be some sort of like judgment or retaliation, flipping the question, what can create that space is if you have waited until you guys are in an argument and or not even an argument, but maybe you guys are having a conversation and they're expressing some things and concerns that they have about your relationship, and you choose that moment to then be like, well, you don't like that I do that, and I don't like that you do, and you say you don't like this, but I don't like when you do, and make it like a tit for tat type of thing. I think then that creates the space where now they do retaliate, because it's like, oh, well, if that was a problem, why didn't we have the conversation? Why have we never had the conversation? And you're waiting until the moment that I'm ready to express myself, to not even just bring it to the table and let's just have a round table discussion about it. It's more so of a, like, I'm biting back at you because I feel bitten type of thing.
Yeah. And that's why, going back to what Deja said, it's never the right time to say it. You always just want to make sure you say it as soon as possible the moment you start feeling the type of way. Because once you don't say it and something comes up where it triggers you to wanting to say it, now that's when it's like, now you're approaching the situation in the wrong way. And then it's just going to give and start an argument, honestly, in my perspective. But I definitely agree. And I've learned from that, because I've been in situations where I felt some type of way about a certain thing and I swallowed that. I swallowed it. And then all of a sudden, something came up and
Flying
I
off the
literally
handle.
exploded. It was kind of like holding everything in the bottle and the bottle just exploded.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel you on that. Honestly, the moment you feel some type of way, say it as soon as possible. Obviously, you want to make sure you guys are in the right setting, but other than that, the floor is yours.
I'm not gonna say use date night, because date night is date night.
Yeah.
But I am going to say, like, maybe, butter them up a little bit.
Right.
Make sure it's just a copacetic environment and then have the conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously just don't pick when it's already hostile, when it's already hot and rumbling.
Right.
Temperatures are already up there because you're just kind of, what else do you expect but for it to get worse?
Right. Exactly.
Again,
Especially for
I'm
the
not
end
saying
result.
use date night, but no.
I saw on social media that there was a couple that used time away from home. So not date night, but if they're in the car, like they'll bring up things that they may not, they may have a disagreement on.
Yeah.
Because it's not at home. This goes for couples that live together. So instead of bringing up things like that in a space that they share, they do that in a place like in the car or while they're, out on a walk or something, just so it's not bringing that tension home or to the room that they utilize. So I think
like
that
that.
was a really
Neutral
good
space.
key part to something that I took from it. I was like, that's actually a really good idea to, depending on the type of conversation you're having, just kind of play it.
Yeah. I think also what my situation was that the only reason why I wouldn't bring up how I would feel was because I was scared to see what his reaction would be, if you know what I mean. Like, I was scared he would be like, oh, like I'll be like, for example, oh, well, I don't like the way you do this. Like, can you like start doing it like this so I can, feel comfortable? And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want him to respond and be like, F no, I ain't doing none of that. I'm like, all right, now I feel like, now it has to come to the point where, am I gonna dead it or am I not gonna dead it? And that's when I said I was in a delusional state, because I was just like, I don't see it ended right now. Like, you know what I mean?
So if you were already in fear of this response may force me to walk away,
yeah,
it prevents you from having the necessary conversations,
right?
Because you don't want to walk away yet. Interesting.
Yeah, that was definitely my perspective then. Obviously, that's not what it is now, but before, that's exactly how it was.
I'm sure people can relate to that.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said both partners need to approach the conversation with an open mind and a non-judgmental attitude. This sets the tone that each person's feelings and needs are valid. Someone else said, Someone else said, I feel like as an overthinker, we overanalyze everything, and we start to have the conversation with ourselves first. So now we think it's going to only go one way. We also, as a whole, men and women, need to listen to understand, not to respond in these situations.
I agree. Once again.
Yeah.
I'm quick to say you're listening to respond and not actually grasping. Like, I feel like that is a key part to a conversation that can, one, either lead to an argument or avoid an argument. Because it's like, when I'm having a conversation with someone and I feel like they're really not hearing or understanding or, comprehending, there's no comprehension to the conversation, then I'm quick to be like, listen, I feel like you're just listening to respond. So I'm going to give us a few minutes and then maybe we could circle back when you're actually hearing me, because I'm going to keep repeating myself because I don't feel like you're understanding. And then now I'm mad that I'm repeating myself because I keep saying the same thing. So it's like a lot of full open communication for sure. Yes.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand you. I seen it so crazy because I'm going to do something that I seen on Love Island. I don't know if any of you guys watch Love Island, but I do.
If they understand much about Love Island, I'm about to be like, please.
No, I'm not going to say that.
Please do.
Something.
I'm bored.
Not I'm bored. Girl, I'm bored. What do you mean?
Exactly. So go.
So I know
they've been
her.
doing a lot of at this point in Love Island, they all be kissing each other. Like, I don't.
That's the
y'all don't
thing.
think that's
I could not do that
nasty?
show for that specific reason right there. I can't do it.
Wild. Like, it's just a challenge. No, it's not. Why was you kissing her? And we coupled up. Anyways, I seen a couple, like, at first they were having a hard time speaking to each other without it causing an argument. So I seen that they had started this thing where it was like a rock, like a simple rock or whatever the case may be. And they set the standards
Like a
where
talking stick.
exactly. I talk, whoever has a stick talks, and when I'm done talking, I'll give you the stick and then you can respond. Do not cut me off or do not do anything, because it's just going to escalate the situation. And right now we need some de-escalating.
But like, it doesn't feel very, I mean, again, whatever works, you know?
Right.
But like, it doesn't feel very like team captain vibe, like high school-ish. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the
I
way we have to
agree.
communicate, we can't just have a
Yeah.
conversation where you understand that you let me finish talking and don't cut me off, and then you talk, and then vice versa. Like, we just can't have a conversation, and I'm grown. I'm pushing 30, and I have to have a talking stick.
No, for sure. I'm just speaking on the
Yeah.
people that's listening and that's struggling in
I
their
mean, again,
relationship
what
right
works for your
now.
relationship,
That
do
might
that.
work, you know,
But
it don't hurt to try. But if not, then maybe I really don't know.
Shoot, even a lot of grown people don't understand the basic art of communication. Like, there's
it's
a
very
time and a
true.
place where you can just jump into the conversation and it not be nothing like a regular conversation. But if we are arguing and we are having a disagreement, you jumping in when I'm trying to express a feeling, that's a problem.
Right.
Because
And if
now
you
it's
can't
no
control yourself,
longer, yeah, like now it's no longer, dang, like you really talk a lot. Now it's like you're really disrespecting me right now because I'm trying to get this off my chest and you are literally only listening to yourself talk. So I'm gonna let you run both sides of the conversation.
right?
Like, and there are different, like there's a conversation, there's a debate, and there is an argument. An argument, unfortunately, people are trying to get their sides heard. A debate, you know, most time feelings are detached from it. Like, you could do that for funsies. You could just be debating just to debate. I like pink, you like blue. Okay, what? Let's get into
Right.
it. A conversation is there's no real heightened emotions attached. We're just discussing things, sharing different points of views. But if there's heightened emotions and y'all are going back and forth, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people will say, I'm not arguing, I'm just trying to talk. No, at this point, it's an argument because you're not listening to what I'm trying to say. And we are butting heads. This is an argument. So I need for you to take a step back. I'm going to take a step back. We might have to calm down before we can have this conversation again.
Yeah.
And then there's some people who just genuinely just don't know the difference between the three. They think just hearing themselves talk is how all conversations are supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I've seen that plenty of times in the professional space and
Ooh.
the romantic space and the friendship space. It's crazy.
Whoa, what are we missing? Because we can't see
I
anything.
can't see the comments at all.
No, I'm
either.
laughing because I just, like, the thing that's going across the top, it
Tune
says
it.
live podcast
Yeah.
recording, comma. And then it says,
Are you tuned it?
It says, are you
gonna
gonna
tune it?
Yeah.
tune it? Just realized.
I just seen that. That's how you know I was trying to type it fast so we could hurry up and
That's
get on
why
this
I
live.
started laughing. It was really no reason to laugh, but it just made me laugh because I read tune in. I'm like, of course you would type tune it. But yes.
Right.
But I feel like I would say at this point, like, I would need to sleep on it, but I can't sleep on it if we're sleeping in the same bed. Like, we're gonna need to talk about it before we go to bed. I'm sorry. It needs to be talked about. I hate going to sleep knowing that me and my man's is in an argument. We need to talk about this before I go to sleep because I ain't going to sleep. I can't. Like,
The conversation made me think about this, but I just want to know what you guys think. But it's like on topic, but off, but on. Anyway, the question is, how do you guys feel about, let's say you're into it with your significant other, and they know, that they know that you know that they know that they were hands down completely wrong about how they handled the situation. And they just, there was no apology, there's no nothing, but the next day they apologize. How do you feel about that? Is the apology still accepted, or is it kind of just like a, like,
if
you don't
that's
care
the
for
first
it
thing
anymore?
you say to me, okay. I mean, don't even say good
As soon as you
morning.
open your eyeballs.
As soon as you open your eyeballs.
Right.
That got to be the first thing coming out your mouth to anybody. Don't let me hear you call not a near soul and say nothing else to them. Because if you
Right.
knew that I knew, that you knew, that we knew,
Right.
that
That
you
part.
was dead wrong,
Yeah.
because
Especially
then
when
I
they
would be
on their
like, you don't
phone.
love me.
Especially when they're on the phone with their friends and a keying, and I'm over here mad, still in the bed, trying to figure out why he ain't come over here and apologize,
And you
why we
know
still
you
ain't
were
talking about it.
wrong. Like, that's the point. Like, her saying you know you were wrong,
You know
like,
it.
that should come unprovoked. Like, that's it. Because if you don't, then it's like, why can't you apologize? Like, what is the issue with saying I was wrong? Or even just saying I'm sorry. You only, if it's hard for you to admit that you're wrong, cool. Hold that. Eat it, swallow it, throw away the key. But just apologize. That's
Just apologize, right?
Just apologize.
I agree. I'm with you on
Someone
that.
said boundaries don't always rigid going into the convo too. Be open to finding middle ground where both partners feel respected and heard.
100%. That's the ultimate goal,
Yes.
is to find the middle ground.
Right. And then someone said, it says, right, be one of y'all could not wake up the next day. Now the last moment y'all had was y'all arguing. I felt that. And that's exactly why I said what I
situational for me.
said.
I understand
It's
that.
definitely, for the most part, I'm like that, especially if I feel bad about something that I said during the argument, then it's really eating me up. Like, my conscience is very loud. But if it's something that he might have said, it might be F you till I wake up in the morning. Honestly.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a little bit different.
She
But
said,
then
like, I need it. Like, I can't even receive the apology at this point because I just want to throw it right back in your face. Don't say
Right.
nothing to me.
But that's what I mean about, like, not wanting to go to sleep in an argument. At that point, if that's the case, then I would want the guy to feel like I don't want to go to sleep. I want to let her know that whatever he said to me, that he apologized or whatever the case may be. Like, I want it to be vice versa. I don't want to be the only one being like, I don't want to go to sleep. So let's figure this out.
So do you not accept his apology the next day if he decides, no, I want to go to sleep?
I mean, he could apologize. Then if you want to take that long, then I'm going to take that long to figure out if I'm going to forgive you or not.
Got it.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Amen, amen.
I haven't heard that in years.
I'm crying. Is there any other comments or things in the...
The last thing is someone said, using I statements instead of saying you do this or you make me feel, that can make your significant other feel as though you're accusing them or beating down on them.
Yeah, that's what they say when they
definitely
teach you.
Easier said than done. Yeah, that's definitely
Teach you
a
how to
therapy
communicate.
tactic.
I mean, it's like, okay, thanks. But
another one I've heard though, and I think I'm more likely to use this one than the whole I thing because you did hurt my feelings. Like,
no, you did. No, that's what I'm
like
saying.
you literally did. So let's be considerate of the fact that you hurt my feelings. Yes, I know it wasn't your intention, but it did hurt my feelings. So, but another one that I've heard
Not
is
the roll eyes. I'm crying.
saying when you used to, or when you've done this, as opposed to making it like right now, like you always saying when you, or in the past, you talking over me. Like you constantly have a habit of speaking over me. And I feel like that's very degrading and I don't like it. Or up until this point, you've had a habit of speaking over me and I don't like it. That is when I'm more likely to use, because I've realized that in the moment, and this is not even just in romantic arguments, like even in the professional sector, I'll say up until this point, it's been a problem communicating with you. You don't listen when I'm speaking, or you have a habit of not listening when I'm speaking. Right. Because it's received as, okay, well, they're not saying that this is me right now. Like she's not blaming me, but she says I've done this before. So now it has them thinking, okay, did I do this? As opposed to you saying, you never listen when I talk. And like, I'm listening to you right now. What are you talking about?
Right. It gives them the opportunity to like defend themselves right in the moment.
So that I'll use. The whole I. Because at some point in time, I gotta say you. When
No,
you
because
do
you
this,
did.
it makes me feel like I'm
That's
still
what I'm
saying
saying.
you
The
did
whole
it.
I statement, I mean, I
Right.
get it, but I
I
don't
guess
get
it's
it.
just the way that they want to put it, so where it doesn't come off as they're. I guess it.
Blaming, but they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I get the
Sometimes they need to be
psychology behind
blamed.
it. But yeah,
No,
sometimes
for
it's
sure, for sure. Like they need to hear it because this
Fuck.
is coming from the heart. This is
No.
exactly how I feel. I ain't gonna
Mhm.
sugarcoat nothing.
Mhm. And I'll
No,
say
it's a fact.
sometimes I'll preface, y'all know I'm good for prefacing a statement with I love you, but you really, really need to listen when I'm speaking because you always talk over me and
Yeah.
I can't get no words out. Like I'm good with starting something with I love you. Like listen to me, I love you, but
Mhm.
this is a problem.
Yeah. Gotta talk about it. Got to. I can't see the comments and it's really just blowing me. But
Yeah, I don't know why you guys don't see it, but there hasn't been any
okay, I just
other
want to make sure we
comments.
didn't miss anyone. I think this was a really good combo. I think we got to actually dive into the topic a little bit more than we were able to on the TikTok live. But thanks to those that joined us tonight on Instagram live. We appreciate your feedback, your interaction. And hopefully we can save this and clip this up and put some out. Hopefully TikTok allows us to do the same.
TikTok does. I can confirm that.
Okay,
Mhm.
for sure. So but again, thank you guys for tuning in to yet another episode of Group Chat Calling, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Bye, guys.